Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Tony McKeag and we're here back at the Okataya Steps in the Manawatu River beside the Favoured Bridge in Palmerston North. Now for the last couple of weeks this has been the site of a project based on 10 tips to improve your landscape photography that is not going to break the bank. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and the sun is rising behind me. You can see that there's a bit of low mist over the hills, and to make this, what I propose to do is to wrap up this project and just review the 10 tips. I will deal with 10 tips in 3 parts. I'm going to ignore preparation at this stage. I think I've hammered that enough. Deal with positioning the subject in the landscape and lighting is the first part, then go through and put I think it is about 5 points which I regard as minor points, although important, and then move on to the last one, which is telling the story. Positioning the subject in the landscape. The first part of positioning the subject in the landscape is actually deciding where to put the camera, and effectively we have 3 light stands on the bridge here where I use the advantage of height to improve the perspective. The height of the bridge was a huge asset in terms of being able to capture the whole of the subject and put it in its place in the landscape. The other places that I use were the ends of the beaches here, beside these rocks on this side, and down the end over there, to really get a picture of the whole subject. It required a panorama to do that. The other 2 spots were actually out in the water, which I don't think you've actually seen the photographs for that yet. Out in the water here and again up there. So pretty simple in terms of that respect. Lighting was an interesting subject, and lighting in terms of time of day. And as I think I've pointed out through the videos, that my preference is dawn, dusk or night photography. The only other variation in that is whether you shoot across the light, into the light or with the light. In this particular example, I think shooting with the light was probably slightly more preferable of all 3. The next points are what I call the minor points. So the first one of those is using the foreground as interest, and for that I use the rocks around the edge of the beach here, and that was basically about the only thing that it has. The next bit is looking at close-ups. Nothing really leapt out as being suitable for close-ups. Edward is pretty self-explanatory. The subject is based beside a river. Document scale, there were a few people moving around, and you can see that in the time-lapse photography and in some of the photographs of the bridge. People are pretty insignificant against the scale of this particular installation. Add colour, and probably failed on that respect. There were the odd few people who wore bright garments, but that we probably failed to use that. 2 more points. The biggest thing about tell the story was, one was the steps are there to show the relationship between the people who lived on the bank and the river. The river was, as you remember, the creation of a Taniwha who rode a totara tree from the Puketoi Ranges, which is 2 ranges back behind me, and rode that log all the way down to the bridge in Foxton. In doing, created Te Apiti, which is the Maori name for the Manawatu Gorge. So that's the story. There were 2 things I wanted to achieve. One, show the relationship between the steps and the river, and I think we've done that. The other one was to try and create an element of mystical dimension to the photos, in lieu of the fact we're talking about a legend and a Tanafar, which is a superhuman or a supernatural being. The last point, idea of exposing correctly. Now, for most of the photos I took, and this is probably going to be a reasonably controversial point, the camera was set on manual, and I used a combination of the camera's meter and an app I have in my phone, which I actually find quite, used correctly, it's quite accurate. That's the sum total of the review. I want to thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and press the bell so that you get notifications. Thank you very much.